So, one of the things I've been always worried about is, well, what happens when you take this account of melancholia and instead of understanding it as an individual psychology, actually try to understand it as part of a cultural process. Because after all, there are certain kinds of losses that cannot be acknowledged. I started today, at least this section of today, by talking about unbelievable lives, or losses for which there is no language, losses for which there is no image, losses for which there is no marker. So you actually end up losing the loss. There's no means or media through which to mark the loss. When that happens at a cultural level, when we're talking about whole populations that can't be grievable, or types of humans, or people with various illnesses or political or religious affiliations, then it seems to me that melancholia becomes a kind of cultural problem, or it becomes a culturally induced form of melancholia. We can't acknowledge losses because we don't have a language with which to do so. And we still live that, though. We live that melancholia because there's a kind of loss that's haunting us. We may end up being self-berating, guilty first world people, or we may end up complaining about lots of other things, but not really knowing what's wrong. Something deep is wrong. There are whole populations that are being faced, and we don't seem to have any way of marking that or doing anything about it. And I think probably I would say that under transphobic conditions, what is repeatedly lost for transgender peoples is a place, a name, a site of recognizability. So if transgender desire is bound up with the possibility of addressing and being addressed, then it seems to me that there's some question of deprivation, or some question of loss that's being articulated in the rageful address to me, or the rageful address to what seems to be silencing the person in question. A loss of place, the desire for place, no recognition, a desire for recognition, a plaint in Freud's terms, a fuck you, an anger that can be directed outwards or inwards. When it seems that the you to whom the address is directed seems not to exist. But it seems to me that one's in the presence of an I who is struggling to be heard and who is looking to triumph over a certain kind of placelessness in order to live. Okay, I'm reminded here again of Arendt's idea that we have rights of belonging, rights to place, without which human life cannot flourish. So, it's an aggressive mode of interpolation, the fuck you. It's a little rougher than hey you there in Althusser. And the fuck you at first seems to signify a certain break in relationality and solidarity. I want you here, I want nothing to do with you. But it could be that such aggressive modes of interpolation are still appeals of some sort, appeals that don't believe they will be heard, and so incorporate that non-belief into the mode of address itself. And I think, in fact, that it's a bid not only for relation, but also for place and for recognition in some way. And I think I understood it as my responsibility to respond. It could have walked out, right? And then where would we be? And I'm not sure my response really made any difference because it wasn't Judith Butler, the person, that was at issue. It was some other signifier, which I don't really control. But I think that maybe if we understand that rage as a kind of effort to move out of the melancholic place where a certain kind of loss cannot be acknowledged, and if we see that loss as culturally induced, like the loss of place and recognition for trans people, and for the specificity of their lives, then it makes sense that it's a desire to live on, to survive, to be seen, to be recognized, to move beyond shame, to be constituted in discourse, and to establish relationality with some you who may or may not be out there. It's a kind of aspiration, open-ended bid for relationality. Well, I did write a paper for her. Thank you all. You guys were really patient. We went through some very rough terrain today. I'm sure you probably have some comments and some other things we can talk a little bit on the way down to dinner if you wish. Tomorrow morning, I think we're going to talk about precarious life. And I can talk a little bit about my current thinking about precarity and why I think that's an important concept both politically and philosophically. And then in the second half, we will meet with Giorgio, and I will confirm that with him Zoom. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. That that's the final moment. It could be reversed, right? I'm sorry, not tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon.
That's the first part.
Tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow afternoon. I used to teach in